Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Betty Brown, and I'm with Green Bexley. Rebecca really wanted to be here, but unfortunately, she has a funeral that she had to attend this evening. But I'm glad that we are all here and that you are here. And thank you for coming tonight and being a part of the solution for sustainability and reducing waste. So, I know that we are all really working hard to be sustainable, to live green, and we have made personal choices, maybe not using plastic, Ziploc bags, recycling, participating in the food scrap compost program, and just really working hard to be sustainable. And then the holidays are here. It's a great time. We want to enjoy it, but it can be a challenge. And we're kind of in a difficult spot. We want to be able to give gifts to our family, our friends, maybe our colleagues, but it can be a little challenge with sustainability. So many gifts come with extra stuff, extra packaging, and some of it's necessary. And sometimes they're designed to be reused or to be recycled, but oftentimes they're not. And so we kind of are stuck and ask ourselves a question: can sustainability and the holidays coexist? So let's see what we can come up with tonight. We have 3 representatives tonight who are owners of local businesses here in Bexley and the surrounding neighborhood. And yes. And they're going to share with us how we can be sustainable during the holidays. So I'm really excited to hear what they have to offer. We have Dawn here to my right, and she is with Glean, and she will introduce us to local bath and body products. She'll let us know what makes them good for us and what's good for the planet too. And then Sara Gallaugher is from Full Circle Source, and she'll offer us some ideas to have a waste-free holiday. And she'll also share how to wrap a gift of Furoshika style. And then at the end is Jennifer Roy from Urban Emporium and Regen Recycled Arts. And she'll share with us her sustainable items and her store on Main Street in Bexley and what makes her shop sustainable. So I'm also a local business owner. I am the owner of Be Well Ayurveda Health Coach. I'm a holistic health wellness coach, and in my practice, I promote sustainability. It's really important that our wellness and health is really dependent upon the wellness and health of our planet. As I said, I'm part of Green Bexley. And Green Bexley's primary goal is to assist the city in accomplishing its zero waste objective before or by 2040. And this will be accomplished when the city achieves a 90% reduction of materials disposed at the landfill. So let's talk about how to reduce our waste during the holidays. So a few facts. So did you know that Americans throw away 25% more trash during the holidays between Thanksgiving and New Year's than the rest of the year? And that extra waste amounts to 25 million tons of garbage. So that's pretty staggering. But the good news is there are many ways to reduce the waste. And one of the ways we can do that is by changing our gift giving habits, and it's taking place. So people are gifting more secondhand items, especially over the past holidays. So a lot of the resale business are gearing up for the biggest season yet. People are also regifting items that they received that may not have been the best fit, and they are, matching that gift to the right person. Also, secondhand gifts, when they are shared, they really shift the focus from the gift, the material item itself, to relationships and people. Secondhand gifts are also easy on the wallet. They're less expensive. And I want to share with you a note that Rebecca mentioned about secondhand gifts. A secondhand gift item is our planet, all wrapped up in one nice big sustainable bow with a card that says, "I love you and I love our planet." So I think that just really kind of says it all. If you are wanting to stay home and shop from the comfort of your own home because you don't want to go out, you can check out Etsy or eBay for some unique secondhand items. Also, if you're looking for secondhand clothes, Threads Up offers 35,000 clothing items for kids and adults that are pretty much brand new. And when we purchase a secondhand item, we save about 77 gallons of water. And then we prevent, perfectly good clothes from going into the wasteland. Another sustainable option is, donating to a charity. And if you have somebody who has, everything, you don't know what to get them, this is a nice option too. Here in Bexley, many of our businesses offer sustainable gift choices. If you have a yogi in your life, you could give them virtual membership or a virtual class to our 2 yoga studios, the Be Well Yoga Studio and Blue Spot. And also many of our local restaurants offer compostable, sustainable containers. I know Bexley Pizza Plus and Harvest Pizzeria, all their containers are compostable. And our local businesses also offer gift certificates and gift cards. A lot of gift cards now are reloadable, so you don't have to throw it away. And many are made from paper instead of plastic. So that's a nice change. And here we have with us, I'm excited to learn from our local business about how they can support us in making our holiday season more sustainable. So I'm going to ask Jen over there to share with us.
Thank you, Betty, for inviting me this evening. As the owner of Urban Emporium, I've questioned the idea of sustainability for years, but trying to also include it as options for customers to find in the store. I myself have been making things out of sustainable or repurposing materials for about 15 years. That means I go to thrift stores, I go to unique places to find used items, and I work around the disastrous spills or I find the unusable items so that I can make something out of them. Some of those items I brought today to show. I first started out as a recycler of cashmere and wool sweaters, turning, this is actually a cashmere hat. Everything on it is, well, except for maybe the thread, is vintage. From sweaters, even the buttons attached to it are of a vintage nature. And then also I have in recent years started making mittens from wool sweaters, shrinking the wool, felting it, and then sewing it into mittens. I line these with Polar Tech fleece, which is also a sustainable fabric made from recycled plastics and super warm. So these are not indoor mittens. these are dog walking mittens, ski mittens. They will keep you warm. I've also, I brought a few items from, oh, thanks. I have brought a few items today also from some of the artists that I work with that I just love that they go to thrift stores or secondhand shops and find things that really people are searching out and they've been extremely popular lately. This is a shirt. It is a shirt that was found at a thrift store. This artist, known as Craftinista Girl, has combined a shirt with a vintage OSU t-shirt. So she's combined two items that somehow made their way to the thrift store. Maybe someone grew out of them. Maybe they had small stains, but they are perfectly usable. And not only does she do that, but with her leftover material from shirts, she makes things like baby pants out of t-shirts.
That's so cute.
And also little headbands. So this is all t-shirt fabric. She tries to use every single piece of fabric that she works with. A few years after I started working in with wool and cashmere sweaters, I can hold that. Sorry, I decided I had been traveling a lot in the world. I'd been to India a few times, and I grew to love the fabrics and colors that I can find in India. And I was excited about the way that these fabrics were repeatedly recycled. I was excited also about other ways that I saw recycling happening there in, a huge country with so many different people. There's so many exciting recycling opportunities that people are taking advantage of. One of them is that they recycle fabrics quite frequently. People will go door to door collecting old sari fabric and maybe exchanging it for a brand new pot or a some kind of new cooking vessel. So it's not unlikely that people have given away their sari fabric. And essentially a sari is a 6 foot or 6 yards of fabric by about 3 feet. No, I'm sorry, 6 yards by 2 yards of fabric. So it's a huge piece of fabric. You never grow out of it because it adapts to the body as the body changes. But as many of us grow tired of a fabric, even if, or we spill something on it, it becomes decayed in some way. But it's still a usable foundation that we can make something out of. And that's been my focus, is to find those things and make something out of them. So I started acquiring not only sari fabric from India, but also a traditional fabric that is a way that Indian women have been recycling fabric for years. It's called Kantha stitch, and it basically is taking two pieces of fabric or multiple pieces, and this way you see it's quilted. It's actually hand quilted, and actually quite warm because it is silk. So women in India hand stitch these together. I have found a group that I work with in northern Bengal, and I buy my fabrics from them and bring them home and sew them into a variety of shapes, infinity scarves, etc. And I brought some samples today behind me. So that's a little bit about my regen recycled arts, as well as some of the items that I have in my shop that are available for sale now. I have also recently added fabric, Kantha stitch fabric, to my line of available items that you can wrap your gifts in, whether it be a sustainable gift, hopefully, or something that will, stay in your life for quite some time. We were introducing a sustainable type of wrapping into our shop, essentially. So I don't know, did I cover most of it, or did you have any questions, Betty?
I just want to say, I think you really offer a wide variety of ways, gifts and packaging, wraps that are sustainable. And I love the international link, the link to India. It's just beautiful. And then to know that these women over there have that connection with them as they're recycling, that we get to participate in recycling and sustainably globally. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Do you want to go, Sara?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Hi, my name is Sara Gallaugher, and I do pop-ups around town with my business, Full Circle Source, and I haven't actually done one since March. So I'm going to be talking about more about ways to have parties and events and gatherings during the holidays that you can really reduce your waste. And also we'll talk about gift wrapping and just different things to think about and consider during this holiday. So I always start out talking about the R's, right? Refuse, reduce, reuse. And I always say rot and then recycle, because I think, it's great to recycle last before you go to the landfill. And talking about the landfill, I did bring a graphic we were talking about earlier. She's like, you have a graphic. And if you go to recycleright.org, you can see this graphic, and it really talks about how 76% of what goes to our landfill could be diverted from our landfill by composting, recycling, or reusing. So it's really important to consider that on the front end when we're buying something, what is the end life of that product? So go to recycleright.org so that you can see those if you guys want to see it at all.
Yeah. And maybe I'll just kind of hold it up a little bit.
You can. But really thinking about those R's, like I said, and also knowing that we're all going to have things that go to the landfill. Our system is not set up for us to have nothing to go to the landfill, but just to really consider when we're having gatherings, when we're buying gifts. All your gifts are so thoughtful and wonderful. I can't wait to come visit your store sometime soon and get some gift wraps and stuff like that. I think it's just really considering what we are purchasing. And when we can, consider giving an experience, like you said, at a yoga studio or something like that. Once we gave Broadway series, the Columbus Broadway series, to our whole family. So I have two children, 17 and 14-year-old, and it was probably a few years ago we did this, before the pandemic, obviously, but we got to go to the series of shows that they were doing. They were fantastic. And it was an experience that our kids will never forget. And they honestly want that more than anything. They're like, can we do that again? Can we have an experience? Give food. We've got some great makers and bakers and all sorts of things here. I think the Bexley Farmers Market, is it still happening right now, or is it just finished? But a lot of those people live right around here. So we've got some great local food we can give, or you can make your own. Handmade gifts. I mean, these are beautiful handmade gifts at your store, and you are going to talk about your wonderful products as well, which I'm really excited about. And give locally if you can. Really shop local, and don't necessarily order things online from a big corporation. I won't say which ones. And I love the idea of giving giving a gift that is in honor of somebody to some other organization, a nonprofit, or a person that is also in need. I work for Flow, Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed, and we just had somebody do a donation for their grandson for the watershed, which was really a cool thing. I want to send them a personal thank you to give them on Christmas morning. So I'm really excited about that, because it is really important. Like you were talking about, the people, you have a relationship with who you get these saris from. And it's really important to consider that so much of, like you said, the clothing, fabric, and you can see on that list as well, how much needs to be diverted from our personal landfill here at Franklin County, but across the globe. So really knowing who's making, whose hands are touching that fabric, as well as who is farming our food and all sorts of different things. It's really important to have a better understanding of that. We're such a society that just consumes and consumes, and pausing and considering those things is really, really important. And thrifting and consignment shops and resale shops and local are all great ways to do that. But I'll talk for a second about alternative wrapping paper. Once I found wrapping paper when I was taking a walk with my kids around the block, and we found a bunch of wrapping paper. So that's the last time we bought wrapping paper. But really what we do now is we wrap with fabric, or like this is a cribbage board that's wrapped in a tea towel, which would be a great gift, both of them. It's a tea towel from where my sister lives in Fort Collins, Colorado. And these bags, and like your bags you were saying, are easy to get places, and they're reusable. We use the same ones over and over and over again. Our kids see them and they know they have a gift coming. So it's really exciting to do that. And other options are reusable boxes, brown paper. If you did use a brown paper bag or something, wrapping in those, using some nature to decorate it. If you have a pine tree in your yard or something like that, or if you have a tree in your house, you can take a little sprig of that, and it's a great way to decorate. I can show you how to do this really quick, but it is really not hard. That would be great. You can just watch me. So I'll take this apart, and then I'm going to do my best while I'm sitting. But you can go online and look this up. I mean, if you just look up Japanese wrapping, it'd be great. So this is if you're giving a bottle of wine or some other fun drink. I just take it, and if you look at the fabric I had, it's kind of in the middle, a little bit more towards this end, because I want to be able to fold the fabric up over it. But this I just take and really look at some YouTube videos. They'll be better than this, but I take it and I wrap it tightly on here. And then you just honestly, oh, sorry, that's my water bottle. Fold it up like this, and then you can tie a bow into it. And actually, I had two of them I was going to bring, where you can do one on one side and one on the other, twist in the middle and wrap it. You have a great carrier then. You can do that if you're taking it to a friend's house for drinks, or if you're giving a gift. So it's just a great way to not use wrapping paper. The other thing is, when you go to a party, how can you reduce your waste when you're
Yeah.
going out to a party or something. And I always have this in my car with me. So I wanted to talk about that because sometimes you go to people's houses and they have single-use plastic and you want to go to their utensil drawer and get out utensils. So you can either do that or bring your own. So something that I have, and I take this when I eat out as well, I have my own silverware. And I bring my own cup. I have another, I can use this as a cup, or I take my leftovers in it. Or if your friend has cookies at the party that are left over or something, you can put them in here. And I always have obviously my lid and a napkin. So it's just an easy way to eliminate your use of single-use plastic. And I have friends who do this now because they've seen me do it. So you can always lead by example that way. I'm going to put this down here. It's hard to pack things up with one hand. And when you yourself are having a gathering, really considering what you are using. So using the glass jar that I showed can be used for so many different things. And, you know, if you need cups, instead of getting solo cups, you can use those, using real utensils, borrowing from friends if you need to. I have a friend that borrows utensils from me all the time when she has gatherings. And I have a little jar that I keep if my kids' school has a party. I've done teacher parties at the schools, all different sorts of things like that, that I have 50 extra forks that are just ready to go for anyone to borrow. So just really considering the end of life, what is going to happen? I've had lots of high school kids in the theater program at my kids' school ask me questions because they've seen this happen and then want to do it themselves. So leading by example is a great way to keep that going. So
Yeah.
I think I'll show this too. This is called a tiffin, speaking of India. These are great for leftovers or also to take food places. They're one of the ways that I always don't need to use anything compostable or recyclable or that's going to go in the landfill. So they're called tiffins. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. You offered us so many ideas on how we can really, use things so that they don't have to go into the landfill. And I am going to borrow your idea of having a little kit with me. I love it. And I just felt like it was this, Mary Poppins bag. You kept pulling things out. And so, yeah, I just love that idea. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't wait for other people to ask you about it and then, change the world.
My name is Dawn Mccombs, and I'm a big fan of the earth. It's our home. It's the only one we have. So I just love it when I'm hearing things like this because we all have to learn by example and just try to do our best to have the smallest footprint possible, especially not just for ourselves, but for our children, our children's children. So just putting our thoughts into the future too, and imagining what kind of world we want to create for them. So I started a business in 2013. It was a storefront called Glean. And I created the store because I wanted to open a store that I wanted to shop at that didn't exist in Columbus at the time. And so I had 65 local artisans. I made things as well. And everything was made out of repurposed recycled materials. And Jen, you had some of your things in my store. When you were showing it, I was like, oh yeah, Jen was there once too. And this is before Urban Emporium opened. So, because that is also an awesome store. And I would have gone to your store before, I've gone to your store. But anyway, so when I opened the store, I wanted to create something that didn't exist. And it closed the storefront closed last December due to COVID. But since then I pivoted online. But then and now, I didn't have plastic in my store at all. I just decided, no, I'm just going to use paper bags. And so not only did I use paper bags, but I use paper bags that are made from recycled materials, which is a little bit more expensive, but to me, it's one that at home I compost and recycle, and I don't use plastics and stuff. But when you have a business, you have to think even more deeply about it because you're putting so much out there. And so it's kind of sort of stops you in your tracks a little bit. So anyway, so I always use in my business now and in the past, just paper. And when I'm, oops, sorry. So I should also say that my business, when I closed the storefront and pivoted online, I stopped selling the other artisans things just because it was just too complicated to run something like that from my home. Right now is where I'm running it. So I'm selling bath and body products that I make and that I made. I've been making them for like 20 years. But I started making bath and body products about 20 years ago because I wanted to find natural things that were good for my skin, but also earth friendly. And so, for example, most of the colorants that I use in my products are made from mica, which is finely ground stone. So again, it's not harmful to your skin, and it's also very earth friendly. And when I do have wrappings for my products, again, I'm just using like brown paper that's also made from recycled paper. No plastics whatsoever. So when I make bath bombs, again, you can see like the gold mica, even though it's a natural colorant, it doesn't have quite the same artificial pop that the liquid dyes do, but it's still really pretty. You know, you can do a lot of really beautiful things with natural materials. So when I sell my bath bombs now, that I have to send them online, you know, ship them and things like that, I basically use, you know, wax paper or no wrapping at all, depending on what the people are buying. This is another example of some colorants. And here's the mica in its natural form, like before I mix it into stuff. It just sort of looks like a powder almost. And for my, thank you. That's the other thing, when you're mailing stuff, then you have to think, okay, how do I mail this, you know, so that the product arrives nicely, but it isn't, you know, messing things up. So I just use this stuff called filler, which is again, and then I try to find filler that's made from other recycled things. When I'm using, sometimes like this is a peppermint Yule log bar that I made just for the holidays. And then it has glitter on the top. So obviously this isn't real glitter because that'd be harmful again to your skin and to the planet. So I use like an eco glitter that's made out of cellular fibers. And even so I sell almost everything that's handmade, but every once in a while I get excited about other things. Like this is a Palo Santo, which is similar to sage when you're burning it to smudge and cleanse. But I'm kind of a nut about everything that I sell because I think about it and how it's affecting the world basically and the planet. And so this is made from, I find sustainable farmers. So like this is made from Palo Santo that's fallen, and then they're taking the fallen tree, and then they're making this. Because obviously, if we're buying a bunch of Palo Santo from trees that are living, that are cut down, then that's not good. When I make my soap, this is a slightly controversial topic. I still use palm oil, but I only use certifiable palm oil from palm growers who have been certified, which is really, in my mind, and it took, when I think about these things, it takes forever for me to come up with a decision. But I was going to eliminate palm oil altogether, but then it's the cheapest oil to grow and uses the less land and less resources. It doesn't need to be watered as much. It's pretty easy growing thing. So if we eliminated all palm oil and tried to replace it with other types of oils, we'd actually be causing just as much harm, if not more, because we'd have to use like 10 times, 100 times the land to grow other things. So an alternative to that is to find people who are growing palm, what's the word? Not only sustainably, but ethically. And making sure that they're actually, so I'm finding palm growers who are just growing it for the specific purpose of making oil. And that it's like if you go to a Christmas tree farm, for example, it's the same concept. And so it actually isn't destroying homes for orangutans and things like that. So the only other thing that I can think to say right now is just, it's kind of what I do. I try to shop as locally as possible. And when I'm shopping locally, I try to find out as much as I can about the practices of that business. And if I am, obviously we can't always just shop locally. Sometimes we do have to go outside of that. And for example, I grow a lot of the herbs and things that I put, like this is calendula that I use in my Bath and Body products. But, it's Ohio. We have winter. Sometimes I have to buy products outside of Ohio for that reason. And I found a place in Seattle, Washington that's organic and they don't use plastic and they have just really solid ethical business practices. And it's a little bit more money for me, but it's worth it. And, I just find it difficult. I just can't cave in and be a part of something that I feel is, I guess, like damaging to our earth, because that's just basically also harming future generations and all of that. So, yeah. So my business is called Glean. I'm all online now, and I have free local pickups, I live in the short north, free pickups there or shipping. And that's that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness and how carefully you think about the impact of all your, your products, the items to make it. And really your products are beautiful. Oh, the colors, even though it's natural, I think sometimes we think natural, it's not as sparkly, but they're actually just really beautiful. So I am definitely going to be, getting some of your products. So thank you so much. I did, yeah. So, and I think what we will do with Green Bexley on our website is have the links to, all the your businesses so that people can reach out and find you. So thank you so much. Any questions or comments? Yes.
More of a comment. I just wanted to say I appreciate all of the thoughtfulness of all of you, and particularly this idea of leading by example, which you all are doing. I think often that's the biggest impact we can have. We talk about, how it impacts your children and the children that they hang out with, and then how that impacts future generations, and how it can impact an entire little city. So what you're doing is really important. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, all of you think very deeply about this, and it's obviously like a lifestyle, that you've cultivated over years and years and years. But for this holiday season, if I'm looking to, have a more green Christmas or Hanukkah or something, what's the one thing that I can make a habit this year that I can build on, to start thinking more deeply and creating that lifestyle? It can be 4 different answers also.
I mean, they already talked about it, but I think not using wrapping paper is huge. I mean, just as a first step, or not, maybe not a first step, but just like to grow into that, because that, if you think about it, that just gets torn off and just immediately put in the trash. And so for me personally, that, and it's kind of difficult at first, but getting through one holiday, then it kind of just becomes more natural. That's just,
And so much of it can't be recycled too, because if it has any glitter or anything like that on the paper, or it's metallic at all, you can't recycle that. So, you know, some paper absolutely can be recycled, but it would be better to reduce, obviously, what goes to landfill. I was thinking, this is going to sound crazy, but if you put up a tree, consider buying a small tree this year that can grow, and you can maybe start using the same tree every year. I know that sounds crazy, but I've been using the same Norfolk pine for 9 years with my family. We got it when it was really tiny. I think my mom bought it for us and had glitter on it and all this stuff. And it is now touching our ceiling. And it's just the tree that we use every year. Our kids, I was just talking to them, it's actually fallen over outside. So what we do is we keep it outside for 3 seasons and bring it in just for winter. And I was talking to our daughter, the 17-year-old, and said, are you going to do this when you're older? Or is this just, you think this is just crazy and you're never going to do it again? You're going to be like, check you later. I'm not going to do this. And she said, no, she absolutely planned to do the same thing. And it was a transition, and we got a tree for a few years, but we watched this one grow, and we would put a few ornaments on it until now it's all of the ornaments we want to put on it. And it's really nice to have that inside all winter. We leave lights on it, just lights, for quite a while. So it really, honestly, it's good for all of our mental health to have white lights on a tree during winter and the gray, cloudy Ohio weather that we get. So that's just something. I know that sounds crazy, and it's maybe a big thing, but it's something that's fun. And you can, I mean, if you get a little tree and it doesn't work out, then then you tried it out and you go on, right? Everything, it's all about trying and experimenting and being open to new things, and being open to when it fails too. It's totally fine. Don't give yourself a hard time about it, and move on. So do you have your one thing?
Oh, my one thing. Maybe just to, if you are shopping locally for an item, maybe ask a question like, is this item sustainable? Inquire about it. Ask the salesperson. Start asking more questions. Be inquisitive, and I think the more you start thinking about it, the more you start asking questions, I think the more it'll be on your mind, and you'll be able to find great gifts or find things for yourself that are sustainable.
One thing that I want to share is that just experiential gifts. I love it because I have 3 daughters and we just have too much stuff. And so I am really into experiential gifts, like a membership to the Franklin Park Conservatory, or out to dinner, just something to do together as a family. Just so if maybe you just pick one thing, and of course people like to get things too, but just one experiential gift might be a start too. Any other comments or questions? No.
Sarah, when you were talking about the 6 R's or however many R's there are, could you talk a little bit more about refuse, the first R? Because I think it's sometimes the hardest one.
Absolutely. Just really refusing what we don't necessarily need is what I think about a lot with refuse, or refusing to just do the easy thing, right? I think that really all of those are things for you to pause and consider. And so it's really refusing to be okay, if you can, with just going with whatever we all do all the time. So refusing to, example is a simple thing like the single-use plastic utensils, refusing to use those. How can you set yourself up to be successful in that? And that's why I take this, random kit around with me. Usually it has stuff in it for 4 people too. So it's really refusing that and being okay if you don't, right? Like not beating yourself up and being like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to eat this soup with my hands. I've had it out of a cup though. If I have my cup with me, I'll have soup, but really thinking outside the box and pausing. And again, we're all going to have failures and being okay with that and just continuing to think proactively, what can I do to be able to refuse that? Or what can I do to stop getting that mail? So, refusing is really being intentional on just your everyday things in life and really pausing and thinking about it. Does that answer your question? Okay. I'm going to call them tchotchkes. I don't know. The things that you go to an event and they just have pens and who needs another pen? Or things like that. Or the shampoo contain things when you actually could travel and go places, not having your own, or talking to the people at the front desk about having dispensers that take, release the soap and you can use it that way and not having the little things. So just really being intentional with those sorts of things. So you're not just accumulating more and more. I mean, I know people who have whole boxes of those things that just sit around and then end up going to the landfill. You can do great things with them too, right? Like there are people, if you have things like that, take them and give them to shelters and different things like that. Being thoughtful, but do we personally need those? If you don't, then refuse them and you can tell them why you're refusing them. So yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Those are great suggestions. Yeah, it seems like it's difficult to say no or to refuse, but I really see that as a positive thing. And I think that's we have to have that mindset. So great. Any other questions or comments? Anything else you would like to share? All right.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Jen, Sarah, and Dawn. And thanks everybody for attending and watching. And hopefully you've, gotten some ideas and, maybe spark some of your own creative juices to get creative about being sustainable for the holidays. As being part of Green Bexley, we're here to support you. And so please check us out on Green Bexley. We're online and greenbexley.org. And so to learn more ways that you can live to be green and sustainable. We also partner with local businesses, residents, schools, and students in Bexley. And I just want to mention a new initiative that Green Bexley has for the students. It's called the Great Green Bexley Independent Study Challenge. It's a self-paced, home-based, differentiated program that has students learning, planning, changing, and advocating on a different sustainability topic each month. And with up to 8 prizes are awarded monthly, thanks to the Bexley Community Foundation. And this December, the focus is on consumption reduction. The program is open to any K through 12 students living or learning in Bexley. So if you want to find out more information, get materials, you can go to greenbexley.org and get information. So thank you so much for this time, and everybody up here. We really appreciate all the wonderful ideas and the shares. And so it's really great because we can be sustainable during the holiday. it seems like it's really easy to do with everything that you have shared. So thank you so much. Everybody have a great evening. Happy holidays, and let's be sustainable.